Like, I hate that idea of the conventional 50-year-old retirement. It's like, I don't want to be working like a dog, like into my 40s.
Hey investors, Bradley here from Watson Estates, and you're listening to the largest, fastest growing podcast for Toronto real estate on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I'm thrilled you could join us today. Please hit that like and subscribe button as we continue to put out wonderful content, tracking the market, keeping you up to date with what's going on here in Toronto. But at the same time, we would be really missing the target if we weren't talking to people who are killing it in the real estate investment world. So today I'm excited to share with you Sarah Eder. I was able to speak with her and we could talk about really having a system from start to finish as it relates to having your real estate portfolio, having that vision, being able to accomplish great things. But also we got into a pretty good discussion on raising capital. So if you're looking for some inspiration as you look to build out your future in the real estate world, you're not going to want to miss this. A couple of things about Sarah, just to get to know her a bit. She claims herself to be a systematic thinker, meaning she really likes to know the start and finish, and has come through with the fact that she, in her history, has been a professional athlete and today has over 120 doors, working with over 17 joint venture partners. She's also the coach of the Empire Building Academy, and I'm thrilled she took some time to join us on our show today. I know you're going to love it. Enjoy the show. Sarah, thanks for joining us on the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
You are welcome. And I'm thrilled. Thank you for coming. Cause I love having people who are ultra successful in their own right. And you're tearing it up in Southern Ontario. Actually, you're tearing it up across the GTA.
I try. Thank you very much.
And you know what? We get a lot of successful investors, and often we're thinking more specific about what are the numbers? How do you do it? What are the specifics? And we can cover a little bit about what are some of the things you did, but I'm definitely fascinated just from having spoken to you on your game plan has an end. There's an end zone that you've got kind of painted, I guess. And I want to be able to discuss what does that look like, because I think we can get caught up as investors focusing on the next deal. I'm definitely guilty of this, but I want to be able to see what does it look like to actually have an end zone.
Yeah, no, that's such a great question. I know for me, being a coach and having gone through this, everyone's just transactional, and I fall into that same pattern as well. It's just, okay, the next multiplex, the next off-market deal that comes across my table, buy. And I think that because I started pretty young in real estate investing, for me, we talk a lot about well, what happens when I have enough units? When is enough? And what will we do with our life when we get to that point? And a lot of people who know me definitely joke and they say, you're never going to quit, Sarah. You'll never stop investing. It's in my blood. And I don't think I'll ever stop investing for sure. But considering the number of transactions that we do per year, we have full-time staff. It's a pretty hustling business, but I just don't see that as my vision for the rest of my life. I don't really want to transact 30, 40, 50 deals a year. It's a lot of work, puts a lot of pressure on my team. And I also kind of want to enjoy early retirement at some point as well. So I think we kind of made a goal to have kind of a certain number of residential properties in our portfolio that kind of nets us for everyone listening, I do mostly joint venture partnerships. So I'm taking a cut of what, my partners are making. So I had to factor that into my magic number that, I kind of have to have X amount of deals and X amount of properties to get me to that number, that net worth that makes me comfortable and happy with, what we've made. And then, we kind of have another idea for how we want, I have a flipping company and a construction company as well, what we want that to net. But I actually set a dead end that once we hit those numbers, once we hit those transactions, I have to stop. Because I think I could just keep going on and on forever, right? There's nothing stopping us. So we set those benchmarks, and truly once I hit them, it's going to be my goal to take kind of a semi-early retirement so that I can spend more time with my family. And we can actually focus on more kind of philanthropic things that we have that are important to us.
Okay, so we'll go down that rabbit hole a little bit. I'm curious to hear what the future vision is, but I want to definitely, because a lot of people are like, Oh my goodness, this lady is on something here. Like she's talking about early retirement. So can
Yeah.
you tell us where you come from? Like what does this journey look like? Like we got
Yeah,
renovation, like construction, all these things. Like what, give us the baby steps on how did you get to where you are today?
totally. No, that's a great question because truly, yeah, like where someone has come from, how long they've been in the industry, what those overall goals are, that'll really dictate how soon people want to retire, if they ever want to retire. I only started real estate investing when I was 28. So, and before that, I was a professional athlete. So I feel like I've lived a very high performance life from like 12 years old and on. So I also took an early retirement from my professional athletic career when I was 27, which again, people kind of laugh because they're like, oh, you retired at 27, what the heck? But, I had already been doing it for over a decade. That's like a long time to be like a full-time, professional in something. I was ready to move on, and now that I've been a professional investor for about 3.5 years, I'm actually kind of ready, not quite to move on, but I don't see myself transacting real estate the way I'm doing it right now. When I first started, I was in the corporate world, trying to grind it out that way after being an athlete for so many years and having a lot of freedom. Didn't like the corporate world whatsoever. Started dabbling in like property management, and that's kind of how I got my into real estate. Got kind of introduced to this idea of joint ventures and multifamily, and thought, okay, like I think this is my ticket. I want to be financially free, and I knew like the only way to do that was to be an entrepreneur, my own business owner, more or less. And so I just spent the next couple years just building my little mini empire, grow a big marketing presence online, started raising a lot of capital, purchasing a lot of buildings, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's super fun. I'm a competitive person, obviously. But yeah, after, we started small like student rentals, did a few smaller burrs, did some conversions, and now we've graduated, bigger and bigger into bigger, commercial residential buildings, developments, larger apartments and things like that. But even then I kind of start to ask myself, well, how big of an apartment do I want? How big do I keep going? How far do we keep going down this path? And then I kind of built out my auxiliary businesses from there, seeing some potential for growth in the market. Like my coaching kind of turned into a neat side project for me. And then realizing, we kind of wanted our own in-house like property management, that became a thing. And then our own in-house kind of flipping and construction company, that kind of became a thing. So it's really grown out from that first few small burrs that we did. But I mean, I think you can become successful without having all of those. And I don't know, I think an end game is still important.
Wow, very cool. So you're in the professional sports. So what are some of those skills that you found that you use most common in real estate? 'Cause you say you're competitive, so
Yeah.
competition is obviously one. What are some of the other things that you've been able to bring over that you think for people who want to scale, maybe that, so 3.5 years, by the way, we get a lot of, I think we're spoiled because we get a lot of people that are able to accomplish a lot really fast, but that's
Yes.
still very impressive and good for you.
Thank Thank you. I was on a fast track, I thought I could do this for the next 20 years, but let's see what we can accomplish in like a condensed time frame so we can spend the rest of our 30s doing stuff that we like. I hate that idea of the conventional 50-year-old retirement. It's like I don't want to be working like a dog like into my 40s. Like 40 for me is like the cutoff. I want to be done by then.
Right.
But yeah,
So
in terms of
you're in the coaching side. So you're in the coaching
yeah,
side now.
yeah,
So and actually I see you on social media. You're really good on social media.
thank
Your
you.
stuff's all over the place. So now that coaching, what are some lessons? Like what are the things you're like, okay, if I have the opportunity to impart wisdom on these young investors, what are those things that you're coaching on, like that you find that they struggle with?
That's great. Yeah, so I mean, I love coaching. I love the opportunity to give back, kind of the way I was given opportunities early on in my portfolio, and kind of, looping back to even my athletic career. I feel like those skills that my athletic coaches gave me, I try to pass on because it's not all just pure real estate knowledge. A lot of that you can get online, how to analyze a deal, how to run, construction numbers. you can take a lot of courses on that. That's pretty easy and straightforward. But what needs to be taught is, things like sales tactics. Like we were talking, like, my marketing and stuff. Like I didn't just grow up being a natural salesperson. I didn't just learn overnight how to market myself well online. That's a huge factor. I really try to teach people the self-confidence to go out and ask for money and promote themselves online. That's a huge stumbling block for a lot of people. Teaching them resilience, particularly in this market, right? Like we were just talking about like the GTA and how hot and crazy the market is in Ontario right now. People are going into bidding wars and losing properties, and they're getting frustrated, and teaching them how to fish, on their own, giving them the skills and the tactics to be resilient, not give up, keep putting in offers, make your own deals, be tough, be strong. Those kind of like, I like to make a well-rounded investor, and that it's not just about the deal. It's not just about the real estate. You have to be analytical. You have to be strategic, kind of teaching them those types of elements. Yeah.
So like, what are the baby steps for someone that's like just kind of starting out, like other than mindset, right? Which is important, but like, where do you go to build this out?
That's a good question. Again, I really think that like a solid foundation is really important. So, learning your numbers, like learning how to analyze deals. So if somebody's like really, really just starting out, like they have no clue where to get started, not sure what they want to invest in or anything like that, what markets they're interested in, go to the numbers first. So I always tell people like get a feel for what you're going to like as an investor, because there's a lot of stuff out there, right? There's rent to own, there's multis, there's flips, there's student housing. Start to, go on MLS, pick up some spreadsheets online, start to run some numbers, pull up some CMHC data, start to see like what kind of market features there are in, say you pick like your top 5 markets you might be interested in. Learn about it, learn about the people who live there, the tenant profiles, the type of properties that are available, and just start to kind of like wrap your mind around where you think you'd like to invest, what you'd like to invest in, because from there, the path actually becomes a lot clearer. I think where people struggle is they just consume too many webinars, too much information, and well, this guy's doing this and he's successful, or that guy's doing this and he's successful. What do I do? And then it's like information overload. Finding that like niche that makes sense for you, that's a good starting point. And then you can build out more the practical skills, learning how to property manage, getting better with your like analytical skills and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So then you've got, clearly you have ambitions as far as when things slow down. I was talking to Kellen, I forget his last name now. It just lost me. I was literally just talking about him.
Oh yeah, Kellen James.
Thank you. Kellen
Yeah.
James. And one of the things he told me was when he dropped out of school, he strategically did it to teach himself how to quit. And that was really interesting. I'm like, that's cool. So kind of that's what you're saying here is you're planning when to quit. And I love that. It's scheduled in a sense. So when you first started, was that part of the thinking, or has that kind of evolved? So step 1, you plan big. Step 2, you plan small, or was that like kind of this whole cycle that was originally thought through?
When I first started, I definitely was like, sky's the limit. I was like, I want to own every condo, skyline, tower in Toronto. Like, let's just buy everything we possibly can, And I think like every investor starts off that way, right? Like we just buy, 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 buy. And then I think like probably about a year and a bit, like into my investing career and things really started to take off was when I really had to take a step back and say, okay, we're just buying not indiscriminately. Like we still had markets and target, numbers and metrics we were following, but we were still just buying at unprecedented volumes. Anything we could come across off market, we were just buying it. And I was getting really like burnt out, and my staff, like there was just kind of almost like the sense of chaos, which to this date, to be fair, I mean, we've controlled that a lot, but I had to kind of take a step back and say, okay, I could keep going like this, like just buying 30, 40 properties a year, endlessly. I mean, there doesn't seem to be a slowdown in the number of partners I'm getting or the properties I'm finding, but am I liking this? Like, am I enjoying where I'm at right now? And do I see myself doing this for for the rest of my life. And that is the exact conversation I had with myself when I quit my athletic career. And that's when I knew the time was up for my athletic career, because I always told myself that if I sat down and thought, like, am I enjoying this? Could I see myself doing this into my 40s and 50s? Eventually, the answer kept coming back a little more no every single time. And that's kind of how I knew, I was kind of done. I was ready for the next chapter. And so that's kind of when I started to think about real estate, thinking, okay, well, this isn't exactly what I'm super happy about, like in real estate, or there's pieces missing. It's fun, it's challenging, but where do we go from here? And so then things started to become a little more analytical, where we said, okay, like we're going to keep buying a lot of buildings, but we're going to pick a threshold. We're going to pick a benchmark. What number am I happy with? What net worth gets us that financial freedom number? Where can I kind of create some legacy passive wealth that will continue making us rich over time? It's not like I just have to give up everything, take my money and run. But just so I can take a step back and focus on what I want to enjoy. So yeah, I think it was really plan big in the beginning, and then in the end, kind of dialing it in and planning a bit small and figuring out what that magic number kind of is.
Yeah. And your small is still huge, by the way. I get it.
I know, totally.
Get it.
But yeah, and that's what's so funny, right? It's like you first start and you think like, oh, 10 properties a year would be amazing. Then when you get to kind of like our volume, you start to look at people buying, I don't know, like 100-unit apartment buildings, and then you think you're playing super small,
Right.
but we're still
all
pretty
relative.
big. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all relative. So then what does a retirement in Sarah's life look like? Like what comes next once we start getting, whether it's scaling back or streamlining the processes, and you can back away a bit, where do you want to focus your energy?
Yeah. I think for me, both me and my life partner, we're really big into like social works. So my husband, he's actually a therapist. And so we're on very different ends of the spectrum. But we have like similar goals, I think, in the long run of wanting to give back. We've been fortunate at a young age to be very, very successful where we are. And it seems like such a shame to gain this success, kind of back away and retire and not do anything with like the knowledge and the skills and the money, that we've kind of saved up. I mean, sure, we have our own goals for our own family and whatnot, but I think like we have a lot of skills that could make an impact in other people's lives. And so that's a huge part of what I want to do moving forward. And this is going to, one, keep me in real estate, because I believe what everyone says, like, there's no way you're keeping me away from real estate forever. But it'd be cool if it's less transactional and kind of is like the best of both worlds. I get to help the community while also still investing. So we're really passionate about like low income housing, especially for really at risk people in the communities, whether that's like substance abuse. We're really in particular passionate about like youth, especially with him being a therapist. He works with a lot of families. We see a lot of like at-risk youth coming out of like the system and ending up on the streets and things like that. So I would love to be part of something where I can, whether it's building or rehabbing, low income kind of housing directed to the communities, particularly the ones that have benefited me. Like, I've been very active in Brantford and Niagara. It would be amazing to be able to kind of give back to the community that we've been really involved in.
Yeah, we actually just had James Burton on the show. He's a smaller developer downtown
Amazing.
buying rental apartments. He's building these things with a focus on the tenants. And it's interesting because it's like there's this kind of natural dilemma, or would seem, between making profit versus helping the community. But he's like, no, in fact, you can have both. And I think we need more people that are able to answer that call, Like, so you mean to tell me investors aren't just in it for themselves?
We have money and like philanthropy
And
somehow. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I love it. So now in your coaching side, right? So is there any specifics? Like, do you focus on anything like different, right? Because there's a lot of coaches, and I'm sure you've got your own flavor. I'm curious what that's like.
Yeah, I definitely take like what I call like the millennial approach to real estate investing. Having been a millennial, that's where my strengths lie. And so I thought, well, it's done good for me. Maybe people just need to think outside the box a bit more. So I would say I'm a more like unconventional coach. my main focus is definitely raising capital. So I think that's a skill that no matter how you're going to use it, no matter how many properties you want to buy or what type of real estate investing you're in, learning how to promote yourself, raise capital, find partners, it's such a positive catalyst for so many people. Sometimes it's just a matter of like giving themselves like more confidence and feeling like they can, just get to that next level. So I really focus a lot on that in my coaching. But again, I'm also like a really like systems approached kind of person. And so a lot of my coaching is around taking investors and making sure that they are set from today. Like I can help you get into a property today, but I also want to make sure they're set for like the next like 5-10 years, building out the systems, making sure they understand the accounting and tax ramifications and corporations. And like, so, I take like a really well-rounded approach to my coaching, making sure that they can kind of keep growing even after our coaching is done. So,
Yeah.
yeah, of
Yeah, the raising capital stuff is interesting to me because that's kind of the front that I'm on as well.
course.
And
Yeah.
I do find that I find having talked to the people that I've talked to, capital is often the hardest thing. And it can be a bit of a roadblock for people that like, as far as confidence, it's pretty much exactly what you're saying. I love that. Is there,
Yeah.
so tips? I don't want to like sell the whole course here, but is there
Oh, it's okay.
that people are maybe doing incorrectly or different perspectives they should take if they're looking to approach investors?
100%. Yeah. And honestly, I love talking about this stuff, even for free, whatever, it's fine. I like giving knowledge, right? If it helps somebody, that's great, because there are a lot of people that are out there right now with successful portfolios that come to me that are pitching deals, have all the experience in the world. And they're like, Sarah, like, I'm just not closing deals. Like, what am I doing wrong? And, often it's just like very, very small tweaks that people are missing. Often I find people talk too much about the numbers. Now, I know you and I chatted, like, you're a very numbers oriented person. And it's not that I'm not, but I understand the psychology of how it works with money partners. The numbers are super important. You have to be able to back them up. But if you lack the human element, you are never going to be able to establish the right relationship and the right rapport with your investor. So if you feel like you're going into these like sales meetings or pitches and you just have a bunch of spreadsheets and you hit them with a bunch of facts, shake their hand and leave the room, you left a lot on the table. But I think that's more from like an emotional like rapport building side. Ask them how they're doing. How are their kids? What are their favorite vacation spots? Try to like find that common ground, because that's what they're going to remember later on. Plus, be impressed by your numbers and everything else you bring to the table as well. So I definitely recommend like never forget about the human element of who you're dealing with, know how to speak to them, and that it can't all just be about the numbers. And number two, if you guys are not on social media at all right now and trying to pitch deals, again, huge mistake. You're leaving so much on the table. The first thing most of my money lenders tell me is that if you're pitching a deal to them, they're going to leave that meeting and go Google you. It's like the first thing they do. They go check your social media. They want to see if you have a website. There's kind of this idea that like, if you don't turn up in a Google search, are you even real? Do you even exist? Are you even professional? Like, what professional doesn't have a website or doesn't have a Facebook page? So even if you guys are just starting out and you're trying to build up some credibility, get yourself at least like a business Facebook page, maybe just like a starter website, and you will just get yourself that much further into the right rooms for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that skill is super transferable. I mean, you
Yeah,
have the conversation with the money partners, but then what, you're going to pick up an apartment. Now you've got tenants that you're working with. So
of
it's a skill you're
course.
going to need all the way through. And so
Yeah.
I love that. And I know back when I was first looking for invest partners, there was a bunch that were like, yeah, you can do this, let's go. And then there was this other group where it's like, let me see you do one. And so you have to start
Yeah.
to build it, right?
Yeah.
And showing that confidence, because if you yourself aren't confident, they're going to read right into that. So
100%. Yeah. They can tell when you're doubting yourself. And if you just, try to be like a robot and just copy and repeat things, like, you have to be able to have the confidence in your systems and what you bring to the table. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sarah, this has been a really good chat. I love getting
Yeah.
to know impressive people, and you've impressed me today. If you guys, if you don't mind, for our audience, could you share with us some links where people can find you and Google you, if it were like, if so to speak?
Yes, absolutely. I try to keep my branding streamlined. So you guys can find me basically at Sarah Eder Invest on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe button. If you have any comments or questions for Sarah, you can leave it down on our YouTube channel. And I really appreciate you taking the time today, Sarah, to join us.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast.